gardener, and today we are going to be talking about tomato plants. So for anybody who has watched my seed unpacking video, which I will either put in a card up here or I'll have at the end of this video, there was a moment where I was a little embarrassed because I had to show everybody my slight addiction to tomatoes. It's nothing big, just 18 seed packets, and there's roughly 25 seeds in each one of them. So I mean, so that means that if I planted all of them, there would be roughly 250 tomato plants. But that's besides the point. Today, we're going to be talking about how I actually took each and every one of those 11 different kinds of tomatoes and planted them. What does that look like? It looks like this. And so these guys are about 5 weeks old. And they have been underneath of a grow light this entire time inside my house. It is still snowy in Alaska up here. It is right now 8 o'clock at night. It is -10 degrees. We just had a completely crazy cold spike. It's gonna go up to 36 degrees by Saturday in the morning, and it'll drop down to 10 degrees at night. But it's just one of those things where because of our climate, these guys need to be started inside. Our last frost day is around mid to late April, and in all honesty, that's very rough. Sometimes we'll even dip back down to 30 degrees in May. But at least I can get these guys ready for that transition period. They'll be humongous hopefully by the time that I have to put these outside, either in the greenhouse. Hopefully, I'd love to just put them in the beds by the end of all of this. Anyway, until that happens, I'm gonna be repotting all of them, and I would like to bring you with me. So, if you would like to see this process happen, where we're gonna be repotting all of these little plants, stay tuned. So there are roughly 64 of these tomato plants. There's probably more. I have not counted them recently, and there have been more that have popped up. But first, I want to go ahead and take the pots that I have and fill them up with dirt. And the dirt that we're using, this is a 3-gallon bucket, by the way, that I got from a friend. I got most of all of these materials from a friend. His father was an agricultural engineer, which means that he's the guy over in Palmer who helped build the water tower, any kind of agricultural sites, helped put up our animal science college. He was one of the biggest players when it came to helping form agriculture in Alaska about 40, 50 years ago. It's insane. And unfortunately, he just passed away 2 years ago. And he left all of this stuff. And Pat, my friend, who also has a channel, it's called Rocket Koopas. I'll put up a timestamp or something over here. He was trying to get rid of all of this stuff, and so I got all of this material, and you'll see what I mean by all of this material. I mean, like over 2,000-3,000 little seed pots, ranging from even smaller than these to pots that look like this, and even one that's bigger than that. And I got all of these for $20. So, if any of you guys are ever worried about finding something for cheap, look at estate sales. See what you can find. Sometimes there's free seed pots like this. Yes, some of them will come damaged or like looking a little bit dirty and stuff, but it's so worth it in the end instead of going to Home Depot or Lowe's and purchasing, you know, $20 worth of stuff, and it's not even close to what I have here. So just a tip, don't buy something new until you look everywhere else. And Craigslist, Facebook, those are all really good places to look first before going ahead and going to box office stores. I would definitely go ahead and see if you can get used before you buy new. Anyway, let's get started on putting all these pots together. I have quite the stack here with me. I brought probably 20, if not more, of these medium-sized ones. I do have more, but I've also brought these smaller ones, and then these black ones, which are roughly, I think they're a little bit bigger than, oh yeah, they're definitely bigger than these guys. Yeah, by a little bit. And that's okay, because my main thing right now, because hopefully even this will be enough space for my tomatoes to grow in the next month or two. But first we're gonna be using the big ones, and then we'll go to the smaller ones. All right. So let's start packing dirt in here. So the medium that I'm using for all of these guys is a mixture called Black Magic soil, potting soil, which I really like. I was not looking for this when I went to Home Depot one day. I was looking for shop lights, and I did the incredibly dumb thing, and I found the manager of the gardening section, and she was a very knowledgeable woman. What I mean by that is she got me so hard. She got me to purchase two $50 grow lights, which completely unnecessary, but I still love them. They were my first grow lights. And then she got me to purchase Black Magic, or this Black Magic soil, which it has bat guano in it, it has perlite, it has a little bit of, oh goodness, I should just pop this in. I'll pop the ingredients over here so you guys can check it out. It's a pretty amazing medium. I'm really loving it. It definitely gave my tomatoes a really good start to their growth. And I know I'm gonna have to fertilize them, but it is so much nicer for my headspace, like just to know that I have brought my plants up with a more nutritional value than those little seed pods that you get at Walmart that are just cocoa, or they're coconut fiber. And I'm talking about those little absorbent ones. You know, you pour water on them and they grow really big, or twice the size that they originally are, and then you put your seeds in there. There's no value past it being just a fibrous growing medium. It's not fertilized. It's not actual gardening soil. It's just coconut fiber that you see. There's no nutritional benefit for plants or seeds when they grow on there. And I think that's such a terrible miscommunication that people never know about. Like, I didn't know that until I actually talked to that sales manager. She was the one who brought that to my attention. I never looked at the back of the ingredient list. I never thought about it because I thought those little Jiffy ones had everything that my plants needed. And that just wasn't the case. And that made me feel so awful because half my plants would die, or they would be stunted in growth because they didn't have any nutrition in them. And there was no nutritional value that they could take away to get bigger. And I never used grow lights until this year because I didn't properly educate myself until this last year on how to, you know, take care of plants indoors before, you know, spring came, which our spring is very quick. And I mean, like, the snow melts, and then 2 weeks later, there's green things coming up everywhere, and then it's full-on summertime. And we don't waste time up here in Alaska. We just start putting things in the ground as quickly as possible. But see, like I was talking to you about, this one's a little bit broken on the sides. But I'm still going to use it because it's big enough. But there's enough depth in here that that plant can still grow nice roots around it. I'm gonna be bottom watering these guys, so I have a nice, just even distribution of water. And it also doesn't mix the seeds around. If you guys ever start from seedlings like I did, bottom water so it doesn't disturb the soil and make the seeds sink down to the bottom. Also, I completely forgot to tell you, so this medium is a mixture between Black Magic potting soil and then cocoa or coconut fiber. And the reason why you put coconut fiber in there is to just make it a little bit more airy so the roots have a more stable place to put themselves and they're just able to grow a lot faster without too much restriction, because the more soil that you have, it compacts down a lot more, so it's a little bit harder, or a lot harder sometimes for some plants, to move and grow roots nicely. So having that fiber in there just makes it a little bit looser and airy so your plants can just make nice roots or a nice root system a lot more easily. And it retains water. So if you have water-loving plants like tomatoes, this is a really nice medium to have in your soil. All right, you're not gonna see my entire face in this, I'm sorry. I will do my best. Now I've poked holes in all of these. So I'm going to take each individual tomato plant. I'm gonna take each individual tomato plant and I'm gonna start putting them in each pot so they have their own little cell to be in and grow a little bit better. All right. Ooh, I should probably tell you guys. So each type of tomato has its own row. And so that's literally 11 different types. Yes. So 5 to 11 tomato plants in each row. I doubled some up because of some that I really wanted to try to pop up. So if any of them died, I knew I would have enough. So I really don't know the count of each individual tomato plant, but I'm really curious to find out. All right, let's get this started. First one, and I'm going to stick it all the way down until it is touching the first leaves. I'm going to come over there and show you. So I literally buried the plant where it originally had about 3 inches of regular plant stem. I'm burying the entire thing. And the reason I'm burying the entire thing, hey, I'm going to put you outside. If you are going to play, you're playing outside. So the reason why that I buried this entire plant, or this entire plant stem, where it originally had about 3 inches of plant stem, is because there's these little fuzzy things on the stem. And I will get something to show you. So if you look up and down the stem here, and even on the leaves, you see these little fuzzy hairs. Now when we plant the stem down deep in the dirt, those little fuzzy hairs will turn into roots, and that's how the tomato plant gets a better root structure. Sorry guys, the camera battery decided it was gonna run out. So I did put, my SD card is getting full, unfortunately, and I have about 10 minutes left on my SD card before it is decided that it will no longer hold video. So I'm gonna have to compact this a little bit more than I wanted to. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna make sure to get as much information for you guys as possible when it comes to this. But I'm super excited about this because there's just so much that is being done here, and I can't believe how much is going on with this. So what I'm going to do is just place a sticky note, Old Germans, right here on these 5, so I know exactly what these are and how many there are. Ooh, probably should do that, huh, too. 5. And that'll just let me know that these 5 are the old Germans. And now I can keep going. Oh my goodness. So something that I wanted to tell you guys about with tomatoes is because these guys, their bodies are essentially starters for roots, we don't have to be too concerned about ripping them apart. I mean, of course you want to be gentle in some restraints, but also know that because their entire body is essentially a root growing system, you don't have to be too worried about your tomatoes when you're transplanting. As long as you cover their entire body with soil and they have the ability to grow back their roots, they're very forgiving plants. I tend to make sure that there is a generous root system on them as much as possible, just because you want as much coverage as possible with these guys anyway. But know that if a root rips from them, it's not going to really work. Another 5. And my sticky notes. Ah! I was sitting on them. All right, the next one are the peaches of tomatoes. All right, guys, I wanted to let you know I am like super excited for these ones. I cannot pronounce their names to save my life, but I call them the Wapiscaponi peach, because that's as close as I'm gonna get unless I like Google it. But these are supposed to be like sweet and delicious. They're yellow. They have this fuzz on the outer layer. It's a very thin, what are they called? It's a very thin skinned tomato. And I'm just super excited because these are supposed to be just delicious. Alright guys, so unfortunately my camera card got full and I didn't notice it, so I wasn't able to show you the entire process of these guys getting full, but I can now show you the end result. From that 172 cell, we got 67 tomato plants and 1 pea plant. And they are now in their new home where they are underneath a light and they're actually doing very well. They've perked back up really nicely. They're now on their next leg of their journey, which hopefully the next time you'll be seeing them is when I put them in the greenhouse, and they should be almost ready to be put outside indefinitely, or they'll be sold. We'll see what happens next. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me on this journey. I hope you have a wonderful day. Christy out. Bye, guys.